No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Nelson Mandela. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. A simple yet profound truth about human nature. It affirms that hatred is not an innate instinct, but a product of the environment, of prejudices passed down from one generation to the next. When a child is born, its heart is empty and open. Only over time do words, behaviors, and social patterns gradually sow discrimination and fear into it. Learning to hate makes us realize that hatred is like an artificial language. It must be taught, repeated, and nurtured to exist. It is not as natural as breathing. On the contrary, love is closer to the instinct for life, like water flowing to low places, like light finding its way through cracks. People are easily moved by kindness, easily softened by decency, because love fulfills the deepest need, to connect, to be understood, to belong. If hatred can be learned, then it can also be unlearned through education, dialogue, and human experiences. Teaching love is not about imposing emotions, but about creating conditions for people to meet each other in truth and respect. When we tell authentic stories, when we allow differences to exist without judgment, love has the chance to return to its natural place. We can continue repeating the old lessons of hatred, or bravely rewrite new lessons of empathy, like the garden of the soul. If we uproot the weeds of prejudice and sow seeds of understanding, that garden will bloom. And when love is nurtured through education, through experiences, through courage, it not only heals the rifts between people, but also restores to humanity what has always been its own, the ability to live together in dignity and hope. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Stephen Covey. The right to master one's own life does not deny the weight of circumstances, the objective limitations, or the injustices that people may face. But it focuses on a more core point. How we choose to respond to those circumstances is what shapes who we become. Circumstances may be the starting point, but decisions are the steering wheel that guides the entire journey. A boat in the middle of a river. The current may be swift or gentle. The wind may be favorable or against, but the helmsman still has the right to decide how to row, turn, or anchor. Two boats, starting from the same stretch of river, can dock at completely different shores, simply because the helmsman made different choices. Similarly, two people born in the same circumstances can have opposite fates because their decisions are not the same. Human responsibility and power over one's own life. When we believe that we are only victims of circumstances, we easily fall into a state of surrender, blame, and waiting for change from the outside. But when we realize that we are the product of our personal decisions, every choice, no matter how small, becomes meaningful. From choosing an attitude toward failure, choosing perseverance, or giving up, choosing to learn or to stagnate, all quietly carve out our portrait. Freedom does not lie in controlling every circumstance, but in the ability to choose how to live within that circumstance. Even when we cannot change the world around us, people can still change their inner world, and that change creates the most enduring strength. Ultimately, the I in the statement is not just a specific individual, but a general affirmation for anyone seeking the meaning of life. Your life is not pre-written by circumstances, but written day by day through the decisions you dare to take responsibility for and persistently pursue. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Rohn. The weight of an entire long journey. A goal, in itself, is just like a bright spot in the distance. Beautiful, inspiring, but still out of reach. Accomplishment is the moment we truly touch that bright spot, feeling the value of what we pursue. Between those two shores is not luck or fleeting emotions, but discipline, the sturdy bridge built from small habits, choices repeated every day. Discipline is not noisy, not glamorous. It is present in the mornings when we still get up even without motivation, in the times when we refuse ease to do what needs to be done. If a goal is a map, then discipline is the feet that take us along that path. Without discipline, goals easily become luxurious dreams, and accomplishment is just someone else's story. But when discipline is solid enough, each small step will gradually piece together into a long distance, and what once seemed impossible will become familiar. Discipline is not a dry compulsion, but a profound form of freedom. When we discipline our time, emotions, and actions, we are no longer swept away by fleeting inspirations or invisible procrastination. Like a bridge solidly built over the years, discipline helps us cross the gap between desire and reality, between intention and result. And when we have crossed to the other side, we will understand that accomplishment does not come from an explosive moment, but from silent persistence, where discipline has quietly fulfilled its role day after day. The highest art of the teacher is to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. Albert Einstein, the essence of true education. Teaching, after all, is not just transmitting information from the knower to the unknowing, but igniting a silent flame in the learner's mind. Knowledge, if only given as dry numbers or rigid definitions, will sooner or later fade. But when attached to the joy of discovery, it becomes a vivid experience, capable of self-generating and developing. The teacher as a subtle guide rather than a commander. Instead of pulling students along a ready-made path, the true educator opens the door, allowing the learner to step into the world of questions, curiosity, and creativity themselves. The joy of creativity here does not necessarily have to be grand things, but can start from the moment a student suddenly understands a problem, connects ideas themselves, or finds interest in learning what once felt burdensome. When the mind is awakened with joy, learning is no longer an obligation, but becomes a natural need. The special point of this observation lies in the humanity it conveys. It acknowledges that every person carries within them the capacity for creativity and the thirst for knowledge. The issue is not stuffing more in, but creating conditions for those potentials to be revealed. A great educator does not measure success by the amount of knowledge students remember, but by the sparkle in their eyes when they realize they can think independently, can ask questions, and dare to experiment. When the joy of creativity becomes the center of education, the classroom is no longer a space of pressure and fear, but a place to nurture curiosity and self-confidence. And in that atmosphere, knowledge is not only received, but also loved and cherished. The highest art of the teacher, therefore, does not lie in mere erudition, but in the ability to make learning a journey full of inspiration, where people learn to grow through the joy of discovering the world and themselves. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. The nature of happiness does not deny the difficulties, losses, or injustices in life, but gently focuses on the inner choice of people. Happiness, in this understanding, is not entirely the result of external circumstances, but the attitude we choose to face those circumstances. Like sunlight, it does not change its intensity just because we open or close the window. It is our decision that allows that light to enter our spiritual life. A traveler on a long road full of gravel, the road does not naturally become smoother, but the way that person walks can change the experience of the journey. When we decide to be happy, we do not pretend that everything is fine, but choose to focus on what remains. The small things, but warm enough to hold on to faith. It could be a quiet morning, a sincere greeting, or simply the feeling that we are still moving forward. Returns to people the ability to be proactive with their own emotional life. Happiness is no longer a rare reward reserved for the lucky, but a decision that can be made every day, even in humble or precarious circumstances. Of course, deciding to be happy does not erase sadness, but it prevents sadness from becoming the center of life. Like the sky after a rain, there are still gray clouds lingering, but the sunshine has begun to break through. Happiness is not a distant destination, but the way we accompany ourselves throughout the journey. When people dare to decide to be happy, they not only live more lightly, but also open up the ability to see meaning and beauty even in the most ordinary days. The real loss only happens when you love something more than you love yourself. Robin Williams. Only when we place our heart outside ourselves do we become vulnerable. But it is also then that we truly live. Loss is not simply dropping something from our hands, but the emptiness when a part of our soul has been entrusted to another person, a dream, a belief, or a relationship, and suddenly has nowhere to return. A boat leaving the safe harbor, daring to set sail because it believes in the ocean ahead. If the boat only lingers in the harbor, it will never know storms, but also never touch the horizon. Love is the same. When we love more than ourselves, we accept putting safety behind, accepting risks in exchange for emotional depth. And if loss occurs, it is not a punishment, but proof that we once loved fully. The positive aspect is, loss does not make a person smaller if we know to see it as a mark of maturity. It teaches us to better understand our own value, to balance between giving and keeping, between loving others and not losing ourselves. Like a garden after winter, though branches are bare, beneath that cold soil, life is still quietly preparing for spring. Love and loss, therefore, are not opposed to happiness. They are necessary pieces for people to learn to love more deeply, more strongly, and more kindly to themselves and to life. All great achievements require time. Maya Angelou. Quiet but persistent, like the steady ticking of a clock amid the rush of life, does not promise the shortest path, nor paint instant miracles, but points out a natural law. Things of profound value are always formed in patience. Time here is not just the passing of days and months, but the process of accumulating effort, mistakes, adjustments, and growth. Like a seed sown into the ground, it needs rain, needs sun, needs even long silent nights in the dark earth to sprout. No one blames the seed for not blooming the next day, because everyone understands that life has its own rhythm. The constant impatience of modern humans, when we are accustomed to measuring success by speed rather than depth. A great achievement is not built by hasty leaps, but by countless small steps repeated, sometimes monotonous, sometimes full of doubt. Time is the silent teacher, helping us hone skills, temper will, and clarify purpose. Each failure does not slow the journey, but is like a necessary bend to see ourselves more clearly. Faith. It allows people to breathe slower, to stop self-blaming for not being fast enough, not big enough. When understanding that all great achievements require time, we learn to respect our own process, persistently moving forward, even without immediate results. And one day, looking back at the path traveled, we will realize that time, with all its slowness, has quietly turned small efforts into something worthy of pride. Politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying the wrong remedies. Groucho Marx. A familiar paradox in the life of power. Hidden behind that seemingly sarcastic tone is a sober observation of how people operate political systems. Instead of solving problems simply and honestly, Politics often turns social management into a chain of unnecessary complications. Trouble, which may just be natural conflicts of community life, is exaggerated, hunted as evidence for the existence and role of power. A doctor who does not focus on listening to the patient's breathing, but is busy seeking illness in every cough or frown. When the diagnosis is wrong, any treatment method, no matter how expensive or elaborate, only makes the condition worse. In politics too, when the problem is misunderstood from the root due to prejudice, personal interests, or pressure of power, then the policies applied not only do not heal, but also create new troubles, piling on the old ones, the pessimism it carries. People need to be alert to flowery political discourses, knowing to ask, does this problem really exist, or is it being inflated? Does this solution stem from genuine understanding, or just a hasty reaction? When recognizing those distortions, people have the opportunity to demand a more humane politics, where seeking solutions is more important than seeking trouble. If we are accustomed to seeing problems everywhere, accustomed to diagnosing our emotions and circumstances incorrectly, we easily apply doses unsuitable for our own lives. Therefore, though speaking of politics, the final message still carries positive value. Learn to see the essence of things clearly. Be humble in judgment and cautious in action. Only then can the art of managing society and the art of living truly aim at healing instead of creating more harm. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Zig Ziglar, the stumbles in human life, does not deny the pain, disappointment, or confusion that failure brings, but places those emotions in their proper place, like a road segment forcing us to turn, not the period at the end of the journey. Failure, therefore, is not a sentence, but a signal that the path we are on needs adjustment. A longer journey, perhaps more tiring, but opening up scenes that the straight road may not offer. When forced to turn to another path, people have the opportunity to look back at themselves, understand limits, abilities, and even mistakes once overlooked. Many valuable lessons do not lie in smooth steps, but hide in those unexpected bends. Without failure, we easily mistake success for something obvious, and that complacency is the truly dangerous dead end. Human, the fear of mistakes. When viewing failure as part of the journey, we no longer avoid or self-blame excessively, but learn to listen to the message it brings. Like a traveler lost in the fog, stopping to check the map does not make the trip meaningless, but helps us continue more succinctly. Failure, in that sense, becomes a strict but necessary teacher. The value of a person is not measured by how many times they fall, but by how they continue to walk after those falls. When understanding that failure is just a detour, we maintain faith to not turn our back on our dreams. And that faith, combined with experiences accumulated from the bends, will lead us to the destination not only with success, but with greater maturity and steadiness in life. I have held many things in my hands, and I have lost them all. But whatever I have placed in God's hands, that I still possess. Martin Luther. People once believed they could control everything, once clung tightly to success, possessions, relationships, or fame as guarantees for happiness. But time, events, and the limits of human life have proven a bitter truth. What we grasp too tightly with our own strength is what slips away most easily. Holding is the action of the ego, of control and fear of loss. Placing in God's hands is the symbol of faith, of entrustment and humility in acknowledging that there are values beyond human ability to possess. When we let go of the need to control, the truly important things are preserved in a different way. Not fragile, not dependent on external circumstances, does not carry a spirit of pessimism or surrender, but on the contrary, contains a profound comforting energy. It shows that loss is not always deprivation. Sometimes it is a purification. What is lost may only be what we thought was ours, while what remains, when placed in faith, is the enduring value. Like a seed sown into the ground, when released from human hands, it does not disappear, but begins a new form of existence, silent but long-lasting. When we love with possession, the fear of loss is always present. But when we love with faith and entrustment, what we receive is peace. Even if life takes away many tangible things, the values placed in faith, compassion, sincere love, meaning of life, cannot be stolen. There are things that only when we dare to give away do we truly keep. And in a world full of changes, that faith becomes a spiritual refuge, helping people walk more lightly, more deeply, and more steadily before all gains and losses of life. Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. John F. Kennedy. Failure, in the common view, is often seen as a sign of weakness or an unforgivable mistake, becomes evidence of commitment, of courage to step out of the comfort zone. Only those who dare to go far enough, dare to try great things, have the ability to fall miserably. And they are also the ones who have the chance to touch heights that those who stand still never see. Those painful falls, where the ego is hurt and faith is challenged to the core. But in those moments that seem like collapse, people learn the most. They see their limits clearly, understand the nature of the problem more deeply, and importantly, discover resilience they never knew they had. Like metal that must pass through red fire to become tough, people need fierce collisions to temper character and depth. When we accept the possibility of great failure, we allow ourselves to dream big and act more boldly. Great achievements are rarely the result of cautious steps. They are often built on countless experiments, mistakes, and risings after falls. Failure, therefore, is not opposed to success, but an inseparable part of the path leading to it. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" people are encouraged to ask, "What if I never dare to try?" The courage to accept miserable failure is the courage to accept learning, growth, and evolution. And looking back, those who achieve greatly often do not pride themselves on never failing, but on not letting failure define their limits.